Hello everyone, this is Vishwas and welcome back to our fourth episode of our micro front-end crash course series. And as a part of today's video, we will be discussing on how exactly we are navigating between the different apps or different micro front-ends, or how exactly we can implementing the routing considering the micro front-ends. When we talk about the micro frontends, like we can have multiple small remote application considering the requirement. And finally, we are integrating all those application into one container, that is parent applications, right? If you look at here, consider this is my parent application. In parent application, we have a header. Here we have footer. And on homepage, we are showing some product list, right? Consider this product list is coming from one of the micro front end, and then we can have different micro front ends, right? We might be have micro front ends for new product releases. We might be having micro front end for the electronic items, right? And when we navigate to that particular, or when we switch to that particular route, we will load that new micro front end and show the required contents, right? The same thing will happen with micro front end 2 and any other micro front end, right? If you want to understand that in detail, let me go to the Chrome. Yes, in Chrome, like we have one of the e-commerce application, right? That is Amazon. And if you look at here, the application is divided into multiple workflows, right? We have workflow for the product listing. We have uh, multiple items here, right? The best seller, then mobiles, customer service. We have Amazon Pay, new releases. Then we have cart. Once cart is done, we have actual payment, user support or customer support. And considering this big application, like we can say the application is divided into different micro front ends. And when we switching between the pages, right? Now, if I switch to mobile, it could load the complete new micro front ends here, right? Similarly, if you go to the new releases, this could be a complete new micro front end. And to navigate between the different pages or micro front ends, right? We are using routing, and this routing needs to be implemented in container application. That means whatever routing we have implemented here, that is present in our parent application. And the same thing we will do at our application level. Now, if you following along with me, like this is our fourth video on micro front end series. And till now, we have created 3 different videos, right? Where we created one parent micro front end, and we successfully integrated 4 different small child application into our parent container. The couple of application created in React.js, one is created in Vue.js, and one is in vanilla JavaScript. Also, if you go here, like this is the current application that we are working on. This is my container application where we have some header, then we have some footer, and in between on the same page, we are loading 4 different child applications, right? That means my first application is related to components, that is working on port number 3001. And we are using this couple of component in my parent application here, right? Then second application that is running on port number 3002. This is basically the product list to-do application. And this application we are showing here on homepage as well. And then we have a couple of applications, right? One is created in Vue.js and one is in vanilla.js, right? The Vue.js application is running on port number 3003, and JavaScript application is running on port number 3004. And currently what we are doing, we are showing all the child application in parent container on homepage itself. And as a part of current video, we will work on implementing the routing for our application. To understand how exactly we will implement the routing, first let's understand how exactly we will divide our application now. For that, let me go to presentation again. Here, we will implement routing in our parent application. Our parent application is present in React. It's having its own header, it's having its own footer, and we will implement this particular navigation or routing. On homepage, we will show one of the component, that is short product list. Then when user navigate to to-do app, we will um, dynamically render our to-do app product list there. And similar thing we will do for Vue.js and JS application. That means when user is navigating between the different pages, we will load the respective micro frontend based on the routing or based on the route. Now let's move to the VS Code and continue implementing routing on our existing application that we implemented as a part of previous video. Now in VS Code, I am running all the 5 application, that is parent application as well as 4 child application. And if you following along with me in last course, right, we are using same code base. And if you look at my parent application and go to our webpack config file, right, here we are using module federation plugin, and we successfully imported all the required micro frontends here. And now if I go to src folder and look for our app.js, we imported all the required components here. That means header and footer are respective to our container application. Then we have Vue.js, JS application. Those are coming from different micro frontends. And similarly, we have food list and product list, right? Those are again coming from different micro frontends. And if you go to components, we will see all those components are available here. So in food list, we are importing couple of components from our micro frontend one, that is card details and card short, and we are making the API call and showing those data here. Similarly, for JS app, we are importing the JS application. Then product list, we are importing the to-do list application. And for Vue.js, we are importing the Vue.js micro frontend. And now let's work on implementing the routing in our parent application. As our parent application is implemented in React, we need to implement routing in React itself. And for that, we need to use one of the package called React Router DOM. Now in parent application, let's install the required package, right? For that, I will go to mf app, stop my server, and first we will install that package, right? For that, I will do npm install, and the package name is React Router DOM. Yeah, the package is successfully installed. Now let me run my application again. Let me close this and start implementing routing, right? For that, I will go to map app. If you look at our parent file, right, or the parent component, that is app.js, and here we are loading all the components, right? So we will start implementing routing here. And for that, we need to import something from React Router DOM. Let me import it. That will be a named export and from React Router DOM, right? It will be a function, and that function name is create browser router. Let me copy this, go to app level, and we need to create our router configuration here. The browser router or create browser router is a function which take array as a configuration, and in that array of object, basically we can set all the required router and respective component. So just to understand, let me create one variable. I will give that variable name as a router, and then we need to call the create browser router function, right? It will be a function. It will take array as an argument, And in this array, we can have our routing configuration as an object. The configuration is simple. We have path, and the second field is the element. The element could be anything, simple JSX element or our React component, right? So considering our first path, let me create the path for Vue.js app, right? And the path I will give as a Vue.js itself, right? Just for understanding purpose. This is the Vue.js path. It is starting with slash, and element we will use here as a Vue.js. Vue.js will be our component, right? Also, now implement our second configuration. Uh, for that, we will again go with object. The first property will be a path, and here we will now use JS app, right, to load our JavaScript micro frontend. Then second property will be element, and here we will load our component. Let me load the JS app component now. Let me save these changes. First, let's understand this routing with these two components itself. And to make this routing in effect, like if you're familiar with React, we need to use the router provider component, right? For that, let me import the router provider. Yeah, this router provider component we need to import from React router DOM, and we need to pass this component as a root element, right? So that means I will use it here, and we will wrap everything inside it. This router provider will take router configuration as a props, and for that we need to use router is equal to the configuration that we have created above. Those who are working in React are much familiar with this configuration, but understanding things are simple, right? Just to recap, we are importing create browser router function from React router DOM. We will be creating our configuration. The configuration is array of object. Each object will take the couple of important property. The first one is actual path of the route, and the second one is element. It also contains few more property, but let understand that in detail later. And to make now this routing in effect, we need to um, use the router provider as our wrapper component, right? So whatever route configuration we have created, we need to pass that route configuration as a props to router provider. Let me save these changes. Now go to our browser. If you look at our application, like we are getting unexpected application error, and it's showing the 404 page, right? And I think it could be due to we haven't added the configuration for our homepage yet, right? So let me add one more configuration considering our homepage route. For that, what I will do, we are showing food list, right? Let me show this food list for um, routing on homepage. And for that, we will use path as a um, homepage route, right? Slash. And in element, I will use the food list component. Let me give comma here and save the changes. And now we will see our application start working again, right? We don't see header footer, but we successfully added the food list component here, right? On homepage, we will see the food list component is added. Now, if I go to this particular path, right, Vue.js, we will see, or it should load the Vue.js app. Let me, yeah, if you go to Vue.js route, you will see the Vue.js app is loaded. And now if I go to the JS app route, right, we will see the JS application is loaded here. That means we are able to implement the routing. till now we have implemented 3 routes. On slash, we are showing the food list. On JS app, we are showing the micro front-end JS application. And on Vue.js path, we are loading the Vue.js micro front-ends. Now let's go to the VS Code again and start implementing our next route as well. And the next route is related to product list, right? We need to show the uh, to-do component as well, right? For that, I will add one more route here. We will use path, and then we will use path as a product list or to-do app, right? To-do app is fine. And then we will also use element here. Element will be a product list component. Yeah, let me save the changes. And now if you go to this particular route, we will see, or it should load our to-do app now. Yeah, let me enter, and we will see the to-do app is loaded dynamically here, right? When I add anything, it is working as expected. Now we are able to implement routing at certain level, but if you look at here, on any of the route, we don't see the header and footer, right? That means if I go to to-do app, we only see the to-do micro frontends loaded here, but header and footer are missing from our existing application, right? If I go to home page as well, we will see the product list here, but the header and footer is not available. And now let's work on adding those. If we need only header and footer for our home page, right? That means this product list page, what we will do, we will just go to this food list component. That means here, and we will add header and footer component here, right? So we will just load this header and footer here, and we will add that, right? But we will require that header and footer across all the pages in our application, right? And for that, we need to implement routing in little bit different way. Let me go to my app again. And in this case, we need to change our configuration little bit. And we need to add routing considering our common header and footer. For that, things are simple. Let me update our code a little bit. As our header and footer are common across all the pages, right? Let me create one more component here, and we will give that component name as a layout, right? Yeah, layout.jsx. Let me open this, import React from React. Then what we will do, we will create that layout component, and it will return something, right? Yeah, and finally, we will export this component. Now, what this layout component will return, it should return header, it should return footer, and when we switching between the pages, it should show the respective micro front end in between, right? For that, let me import header here. Yeah, the header is imported from header. Let me import footer as well. The footer is imported from footer. Let me wrap it around the fragment. Yeah, save this. And now what I will do, I will just add the food list here, right? Let me also, just to verify whether our home page is working fine or not, right? So I will also add the food list here, right? And now I will go to app.js, and instead of using the food list here, I will use layout component. Layout, right? Layout will be imported from layout. Let me import it here. Yeah, save the changes. And now if you go to Chrome, we will see our application is not working and it's saying that cannot find module header, right? Let me go to the layout and yeah, we haven't implemented the default extension configuration, right? For that, we need to use the appropriate extension here for all the three, right? Let me save these changes and run our application. And now it's saying that layout is not defined. Let me go to app.js. Here we have layout and we are using small l here. Yeah. Yes, now our application is working fine. And on home page, we are able to load the header, hood list, and we also have the footer here. But now if I go to any of the another route, right, we still don't have header and footer. And for that, let's change our routing configuration. So whenever we want to add any of the component across the pages, we are adding that into the different component altogether, right? If you look at here in layout, we added header as well as footer, right? And somehow instead of food list, we need to dynamically add the component here. Like whenever we changes between the route, right? Only this particular component should get updated, right? And for that, like we need different configuration or we need to change our configuration for the create browser router. In this case, we need to go with one parent configuration and rest of the configuration we need to use as a children. If you look at here, we need to keep layout as it is and whatever things we are seeing here, right? We need to add this configuration as a children. CHIL children props, it will be a array again, and we need to add all this configuration here, right? As we added layout here, and we are using product or food list here, right? We'll remove this food list from here and we will dynamically add the component here, right? And this food list we will be required on home page, right? For that, what we will do, we will add one more configuration here and this configuration is related to home page now, right? For that, I will use slash here and element will be my food list, right? Let me give comma here. Now, if you look at here, so whatever the component present in layout, right, that is available across the pages, and then based on our configuration, we will use the necessary component as per the route. This is done, and now let me save these changes for now and go to our application. Yeah, you will see we have header and footer are available on JS app page. Also, if I go to home page, right, we will only see header and footer available. And now somehow we need some placeholder here, right? Some way we need to load our respective component from our route, right? And for that, React router DOM provide us one placeholder or placeholder component, and that placeholder component we called it as outlet. Let me import that now. Import outlet from React router DOM, and we need to use that outlet component here. Also, we need to remove this food list from here. And if I go to app.js, everything is fine here. So what this outlet means, so outlet is basically the component. It works as a placeholder in our parent route component, right? And it will tell React router that where exactly child element will be rendered, right? That means this is placeholder and based on our configuration, that will get replaced, right? That means when we are on home page, our layout components gets loaded, but from our children, it will take the food list component and that is replaced with layout. Now, if you go to Vue.js app or Vue.js path, what it will do, it will load the layout component, and instead of this outlet component, it will be loaded with Vue.js component. And same way, it will do for other configuration as well in our routing. Let me just update this route little bit so that all the route in proper standard. And now let me save these changes. And now if I go to home page, we will see on home page we have header, the food list, and footer as well, right? Now if I move to JS app, now we have updated our route, so it should be a JS app. And now if you go here, we will see the header and footer available here, right? Don't worry about the CSS now. We are focusing mainly on routing now. And now if you go to Vue.js app, we will see the everything should work as expected, right? I think we made this spelling mistake. It should be Vue.js, right? Our path should be Vue.js here. Yeah, the application is working fine. And if you look at here, the last path will be to-do list, right? Let me also add that as well. And we will see that application is working fine, right? If you look at here, our routing is working as expected, considering our layout component where we have header and footer present across all the application. And when we switching between the pages, we are rendering the respective micro front end in the respective route. Now, if you look at one more thing, right? If our route is incorrect, we are getting the 404 page, right? That means this 404 page, and it's showing that the respective route is not present, or respective route is not configured, right? And for that, what we can do, we can create our custom 404 component, right? Let me add that component as well. I will add that component as a not found. Yeah, not found.jsx, and we'll keep that component very simple, right? We'll import React from React. Then we will create our component. Component name will be not found. And what this component will do, it will return simple JSX, right? JSX, or we will just return some H1 tag, right? Page not found. Let me save the changes and export this component. Yes. And now what we will do, we will use this component in our route configuration. For that, let me go here and import that component. Yeah, not found component from component dot not found. Let me try to add that configuration at root level, and here we will add the error element, right? We will use not found component, right? Let me see what will happen after adding this component, and if any issue, yeah, let me save the changes. And now if you look at here, it will show page not found, right? But if you use the appropriate router, our page gets loading as expected. So for 404 page, you can go with your custom implementation. Try to add, I have added it at root level for now, but you can go to this specific level, right? So that this header and footer can be available, even the page is not found, right? And the user can navigating between the pages. I think this is all about the not found page. Now let's work on next and most important thing. Like till now, understanding the routing, like we are changing our route manually, right? So whenever I want to go to any of the component, right, I am manually changing the route. But that will not be the case when we are working on actual implementation, right? We need some way or some links here so that user can navigate between the pages, and based on selected page, our respective micro front end should get loaded, right? And for that, let's work on next thing now, to add the respective link in our header component. Now let me go to the VS Code, and in header component, we will start adding the actual links, right? For that, let me use UL tag below our title, and we will add li here, right? Um, like here we are using two root elements, so that is not allowed. So let me add the fragment here. Yeah, the fragment is added, and now we will use these two child elements, right? So I have added li, and in li, let's go with anchor tag for now, right? hrep is equal to, we will go with home page, right? Yeah, and here we will use home, right? Then add the next li. Yeah, we have added four li. The first one is for our home. The second one is for, let's go to the app and look for, the second one is Vue.js. Third one is JS app, and fourth one is to-do list, right? So let's add a Vue app here, then add the JS app here, and finally we have to-do list component, right? And if you look at their links, the first one is Vue.js. Let me copy this, use it here. Then second one we have is JS app. Let me copy that as well. And then finally we have to-do app, right? Let's copy and add it here. And save the changes. Let me save the app.jsx as well. And now if I go to application, you will see the links are available here, right? And now when we switch between the pages, like you will see the user is redirecting to the respective pages. Like I switch to the JS app now, I switch to the home app now. But if you look at here, when we are using anchor tags, right, our page gets completely reloaded. And this is not case when we are working on single page applications or some framework, right? Or where we are going with micro front end. Our page should not reload it, right? And in that case, we cannot use the anchor tags here. And to resolve that problem and avoid the hard reloading, the React Router DOM provide one component, and that component name is link. Now import the link component, and it will be imported from React Router DOM. Let me save the changes, and now instead of anchor tag, we will use the link component. Yeah, first let me replace all the anchor tag, and it will be a replace with link, right? Replace this one as well. There's all the four occurrences and their closing tags as well. Yes, the first thing is done, and now instead of href, it is expecting the attribute or props called to. Instead of href, we will use two props here. Yeah, that's the changes needed. Let's save the changes. What we did, instead of using the anchor tag, we started using the link tag. And for link tag, we need to use the to attribute to provide the route. Yeah, let's save the changes. And now if you go to, now our homepage is working as expected. And when we switch between the pages, our respective components gets added, right? We have header, footer, and if you look at here, we have Vue.js component, right? If I go to to-do list, we will see the respective component as well. Now our application is taking good shape. We implemented routing successfully, but as a final step, let's work on adding some style to our links, right? This is not looking good. So as a last part, let's add some little bit styling. To add a styling, let me go to the VS Code. If you look at here, we need to add the styling for this UL, right? So let me give some class name here, and class name we can give the navigation, right? And now if you go to component and look for the style.css, right? We are using this common style.css and we'll add our CSS here, right? In the nav, we need to add nav will be a class, right? So nav is a class, and in this we need to add the styling for li, right? The first thing we need to remove these dots. For that we will use least style type, right? Yeah, least style type, it will be a none. Then second thing, we need to show this all in single line. For that, we will use display, right? Display, for that, go with the inline block. Now this is in single line, but we need to add some spacing between them, right? For that, let's go with width property. Maybe 100 pixel is good, right? Let me save the changes. Yes, 100 pixel looks okay. Now also add border to it, right? Let me give border 1 pixel, solid, and we will use color like some black color, right? Yeah, let me save these changes. This is working good now. Make the text alignment center. Yes, now it should looks good. And now give little bit padding, right? I think 5 pixel will be good. Yeah, this is looking good, right? And now when we switch between the pages, it is working fine. Now this is looking good, but we are not able to identify which link is currently active, right? Whether we are on home page or the Vue.js app or JS app or to-do list, right? We should have some way to highlight the active link, right? And for that, what we will do, we will use one more React router component. So instead of using the link component to handle that kind of styling, we will go with nav link component. So let me go to the header component, and here we have link component, right? So instead of link component, we will use nav link. This is the component which will add the custom styling. Let's remove all this link tag. For that, let me go to the Control F and remove it, right? And we'll replace everything. Yeah, everything is replaced. Here we have nav link on top. And now what this component will do, here we can add the class name. We will take the callback function, and here we have one property called is active. This property tells us whether the current link is active or not. Yeah, let's take this. We'll use the arrow function, and if that property is active, right? Yeah, if is active property is true, in that case, we will set some class here, right? Maybe class name will be active. And if that is not, then we are basically using ternary operator here. So if that property is not true, then we will use inactive, right? Let me move this to the next line so that it looks good, and we'll end it here, right? Same thing we will do for all the links. Let me add it here, here as well, and here as well, right? And we will use these spaces for readability. Let me save the changes Now what we will do, we will use the active class here. Like if class is active, we will give some color to our link. Color could be green, right? Let me save the changes. And now if you go to our application again, we will see now the respective or active link is highlighted, right? It is available in green color. If you go here, now home is active and that is highlighted in different color. So that way we can achieve the styling by using nav link component. That is same as the link component, but we can add some custom styling to it. And things are simple, right? We're just using the class name. It's taking one property is active, and if that property is true, we can set the class as active. And in second case, we can go with empty class, right? Even inactive class is not needed. I think that's all about the routing. We successfully implemented routing in our micro front end. Finally, few points about routing when we are considering the micro front ends. We have a global routing. That means we need to implement routing at container application the same way we did in our React application, right? In our case, our container application is in React. So we implemented routing considering React application. And for that, we have used the package called React Router DOM, right? But we might be having different cases, right? Or different combinations. Like we might be having the container application created in Angular or Vue.js, right? So considering that, we need to implement the global routing as per the framework we are using for the container application. We can also have the local routing. Local routing means the routing needs to implement at micro front end level, right? If you have multiple micro front ends and any of the micro front end needs its own internal routing, right? That can be implemented at application level itself. Finally, if you are able to understand my content, you are getting some knowledge from it, I request you to please like. If you need more understanding around the micro front end or any of the topic, you can comment me and I will create video on that as per my bandwidth. Also, I request you to share the video with your friend so it will reach to more people. And finally, subscribe to my channel. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching and see you in next one. Till now, thank you. Bye.